We are live. Okay, well, that didn't happen the way I thought. We didn't. Oh my gosh. You know what?
Live. Okay.
Live. We went live and then we didn't go live and then we were live. And this just shows we are real people. We are not AI. So, welcome, book lovers and screen addicts. This is episode 6 of Page to Screen and in Between. And we are doing a recap. And we have something kind of special, unique. We don't know how it's going to go today. But here we go.
Yeah. Well, I'm Staci, and I'm here with my literary partner in crime, Renee. My rekindled new bestie. We're having so much fun with this podcast, and today we just kind of wanted to recap the last 5 podcasts and just kind of show you a little peek behind the curtain, so to speak, of how we come up with things, how we brainstorm, some of the things that we're going to maybe brainstorm and hash out today, and just see, like what makes this little thing work the way it's working. So
yeah, I'm having so much fun, just like you said. It's been great. I had a podcast prior to this, and I think we talked about this in the first episode, but I wanted to reiterate that in my first podcast, it somewhat went off the rails in terms of got hijacked by one or two of the other podcasters, and it became very transactional. It was still about books. It was still about story, but it got a little bit more transactional in terms of bringing on authors, highlighting their books, and then in the back of our minds, if you will, sort of hoping that when our next books came out, they would give us like an author quote or a recommendation.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't want that. Tit for tat, quid pro quo.
Yeah. Yes.
And I didn't want that anymore. I wanted to just really, the whole point of me doing a podcast about books was so that I would do more reading, because writers do need to read as well.
Right,
and I was getting really too much into the grind of writing. And so I wanted to find the joy of reading again. So that just didn't work out. And the other podcasters were sort of falling away from it as well. So it was time to reimagine. And my first person I thought was of you, being the author and the reader, my bestie. Yes. And let's just have some fun, bring some joy into reading word. Again. Yes, because so many people read, or if they don't read, one of my friends at work says, Renee, you just have such an extensive vocabulary. You're really smart. And I said, it's because I read. And she goes, yeah, I don't read. Yeah. And she says, sometimes I feel pretty simple.
Yeah. But I think that's where we came up with, for our audience, the page to screen, because we said, there are people that just don't read, but they watch, tons of Netflix series, or they watch movies, or they don't even know that it's from a book.
Right.
And so, and there was a couple of them that we decided on that I didn't even know were a book, and so I think it helps audiences to maybe when they see a movie or they see the screen, maybe just trigger a little bit of, oh, I think I might want to read that, or read about it or something, just give them an extra little kind of nudge.
Well, and weirdly, I used to always say, if you read the book first and then you go to the screen version, whether it's a film or a Netflix series, I feel like it's always a little disappointment. It's not what you thought it was going to be. Yeah. They missed a section. They changed something. I think about Lessons in Chemistry. It's very different in terms of the layout of the story versus the screen, the book versus the screen. And I used to always say, watch the movie first, then read the book. Because if you've watched the movie first, like I did that with The Outsiders. Yeah. I had watched the movie. I'd never read the book. And I went back and read the book. And it informs the movie. And it gives you so much information that you didn't have when you're watching. And you realize how, yes, the film fell short, but now that I'm reading the book, I can picture these characters better. I can see the world that they were living in my mind. And I know the other end is that, but I want readers, there's some readers that want to have their own imagination and don't want the
That's
movie to
yeah, that's where
reading.
I'm just gonna counter, I'm just gonna kind of counter that a little bit. When I read the book, I feel like I get the character myself in my head.
Yeah.
And sometimes, kind of like with Bridgerton, like the Daphne character, they were way off. I mean, I feel like it was
100%.
way off. And so if I would have watched the Bridgerton series first and then read it, that Daphne character would be in my head from the series, from the Netflix series already. And I think it would have changed when I originally read the book 20 years ago, and my memory, but I reread it, so it was good. But so I do kind of like reading the book first.
Okay.
Outsiders, I watched the movie first and then read the book, and I was like, wow, it I don't know, it just developed those characters differently in my head. So
Well, and that's what this podcast is all about, is we don't have to agree, and it can still be an amazing book, an amazing movie, an amazing screen adaptation.
Yeah.
And we don't have to agree, nor do the viewers or listeners have to agree. So
No.
that was really, as we're going into this, is what's so beautiful and yet messy about this podcast. But maybe let's take a step back, and way back when we decided we were going to do this, and then
Yes.
even how we came to page to screen and in between,
Oh my goodness.
how we got the title. Because I was
Yes,
like,
it was like this. We were on our, because we don't live in the same city. So we were literally like saying words. We were just like brainstorming. We started with their stories. Remember, we wanted your story, my story, our story.
Our story.
Like
because we were going to talk, story. That's
stories.
right.
We wanted it to be stories, and then because we wanted it to be, books are stories, and we're like, how can we make it like, our story, their story, and it got to be kind of convoluted, and it was just like, oh, that's
our story, their story, and then we were like, well, book to movie, and then but a lot of the books that we were doing, including our first one, isn't a movie in the traditional sense. It is a Netflix series. So what does that look like? And I think you came up with page to screen, and then we'd also talked about. We were going to talk about That's Not New. We were going to have a segment where we wanted to talk. That's not new. Talk about something that all these people are really obsessed with, and we have been on the planet a while. We got some age on us, and we were like, yeah, that was big way back in the 80s, or that was big in the 90s, and so that we wanted to include something there.
But then we wanted to include it is new. Remember, we talked about baby video monitors, and we talked about all the things that are new that we love. So it's like, well, then that wouldn't really fit. So
and then I said
it's fascinating. We were going to call the podcast.
Well, obsessed. What are we obsessed with? And then you said, and then you said, well, that feels a little bit more like serial killers and obsession, and I was like,
stalking type.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from there, and that's where the word fascination came.
Yeah.
What's fascinating us, and that's where we got that first segment.
Yes,
is how we came to that.
I like talking about things that are fascinating us, but aren't like, I don't need to get into issues. I don't need to get, that's not what this is for. This is literally for you and I to, connect, to show that connection can happen and rehappen. But just to kind of have things be like joy, like have things be positive. And I'm not saying, I'm a Pollyanna where I only want to talk about positive things, but for this, we can do that.
Yes, yes. And the other thing too, and this is something that I've noticed, especially with author podcasts, and so
Mhm.
this is just coming from my world,
Sure.
um, fiction author podcast, is that it feels sometimes like they're a little pretentious or they're trying to prove something. Stacy and I are smart. We already know that. We are accomplished. We are
Yeah.
already,
Been
we
there, done
are
that.
educated. We are
Yeah.
both highly educated. We did not want this podcast to be a platform for us to prove how smart we are or how insightful we are.
No.
Not that we aren't going to show that or dig into something and talk about subtext and layers and theme and motifs, but maybe we won't. We don't have to.
Right.
And we
Right.
don't have anything to prove. Heading back to that joy, I think when you're trying to prove something or trying to stay on that really smart arena. I mean, I was in graduate school, been there, done that. I don't need to prove to the world how smart I am. And I'm
Right.
not up against all these other, master's and PhD candidates attempting to prove that they're smarter than the smartest person in the room. I once
Right.
had a pastor said, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to get into another room because there is no good that's going to come out of
Right.
that.
Right. There, and I've kind of adopted a saying, instead of being a know-it-all, I want to be a learn-it-all.
Yes.
I want to
Yes.
continue constantly learning. I learn so much from my kids, from my
Oh,
daughters, from my son, like constantly learning things. And I don't want to be that type of person that's like, I know everything, so you need to come to me for, and I can't possibly learn anything from you. I like to learn things from, immigrants that I am associated with, and learn about their story and their life lessons and the things that have happened to them. And that's why I'm learning Spanish.
mhm.
I'm continuing to, stretch my brain and learn Spanish because I constantly want to hear people's stories, about, farther than, what's your name? How many kids do you have?
Mhm.
I want to hear their stories. And in order to do that, I have been, studying Spanish and continuing that. And it just fascinates me, to make blanket statements about things and not care to be curious that
Right.
maybe I'm missing something. Maybe, maybe there is something more to discover.
Mhm.
Those kinds of things. Like when you hear somebody they're so, I read a book called The Sin of Certainty, and it's like,
Ooh.
yes, it's really
Ooh.
good. Peter Enns is the guy's name, and it's really, really good because it's like, when you're like, I'm like, this is it. This is,
That is so
and
good. And oh, I love that, the sin of certainty.
there's
Well,
no,
and I learned a phrase from my daughter that she says, I am opinionated with an open mind.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
it's that, yeah,
yes,
it's not
because
become a
we're
mush
not
brain.
saying, yes, not be
Yeah.
a mush brain. We can be super opinionated, but I also want to be open-minded to have someone change my mind. And
Or to
so
just
many
listen to
people,
their opinion. You don't
right. And I
have to
think
even change
we're
their
very
mind.
insular in our
Yeah. Yeah.
our
Yeah.
culture right now. And social media, you can get within this really safe place and a vacuum. And I see it all the time on, Facebook, because it's a little bit older people
Yeah.
where someone will put out their opinion and then other people are attacking them. And then they unfriend the people that disagree with
Right.
them. And I'm like, I get it, and yet I don't. Because if you're going to unfriend someone who doesn't agree with you, how are you ever going to be in a conversation with someone that doesn't agree with you and then find a middle ground? Because
Right.
we
Find the common.
all find something in common. And that, I feel, is what this country in general, or our current culture, doesn't want to do. And
Right.
my daughter and son-in-law are like that too. They say they're opinionated with an open mind, but I don't see the open mind very often.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Well, and
I
I think
do
like
want to
that's what
take that
this
on.
podcast lets us do. Like we can have some opinions,
Mhm.
and it's not life and death. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
but it gives us the mind practice to listen and
Yes.
to share and to, see something new, and it's a practice that then you can take over to more serious things,
Yeah,
to bigger issues.
take a break from everything that's terrible in this world, because boy, we could have a
Right.
5 hour
And yeah.
podcast about all of that
And
and
there's
how we
enough
would
of those.
solve the problems. Yes.
To me, there's just enough of those that get you riled up, get you going. I want people to be excited to listen,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to go, okay, I'm not going to be taught a lesson. I'm not, Renee and Staci are not out to change my mind about
Mm-hmm.
anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's just fun. It's just
Right.
fun. And we're
We are going
just
to have some
so much
fun.
fun. Yes.
And
I love
what's not to love about story? This goes back to whatever you believe, whatever creator you believe in. You and I are Christians, we are
it. Uh-huh.
Jesus followers, but
Right.
that's not to say, I have all kinds of friends in all
Sure.
kinds of faiths and religions. That's the one thing I've really enjoyed living in a very multicultural city, is
Yes.
I have friends of all nations, all religions, all colors. Excuse me. But the one thing is, when you're reading story, you are connecting to creation, the creator, however you define that.
Yes.
Even if you are an atheist and you believe it all happened by chance, there's still creation
Right.
involved in that. And story, I think, takes us to the deepest level of creation.
Yes.
And it feeds that need in us of wanting to. I think about, like, Halloween was just this past weekend.
Uh-huh.
And people really embrace, I don't, but a lot of people embrace horror and the scary part of Halloween.
Uh-huh.
And it's their way of facing fear. They feel like if they can face that super scary fear,
Yeah.
it diminishes it and makes it less,
Right.
somehow, less than. And that's fine for them. But that comes in story. That's why they're connected to horror. That's why they're connected, is it's their way of facing their fear. And that's not wrong for them. You and I
No.
have our own lane, and the one thing that we wanted to do today was find our lane, is
Yeah.
to define that, and to be very unapologetic about our
Yes.
lane. And
Yes.
one of the things that we said is that we are going to focus on joy, and focus on, that doesn't mean that our books that we focus on don't have hard things in them.
Right.
Because when we talk about what our next book is, it's not an easy book. It's
No.
not an easy time,
No.
because it covers a really difficult time in our nation.
Yeah.
And yet we are going to bring the joy to it and the excitement of story and learning. And I think both of us are also sponges. We want to
Yes.
learn something,
Yes.
and we don't want it beaten. You don't have to beat us over the head. We can learn
No.
it in all kinds of ways.
Yeah. I'm really excited for this. I'm reading. We just got done reading a book. My daughter introduced us a book, and it's called The Danish Parent. But they talk about Danish movies and Danish books,
Oh,
and they say that most of them are not happy endings, like American books,
mm-mm.
like American fiction and American.
And you can watch some of those on Netflix. I think a lot of them are on
Yes, and I've
Netflix.
not, yeah, they're dubbed, and it's like, wow, this is really dark.
That's
This is really
dark.
And it's because they have the attitude. Here's their attitude of being a realistic optimist.
Okay.
A realistic optimist. So it's reality. Reality is reality. I mean, there is, but you can take kind of there's a saying, the ugly beautiful. You can take
Mm-hmm.
what is reality, and you can always see something good.
Mm-hmm.
The joy of it.
Beauty from
again,
ashes.
right. And again, not saying you need to be happy about this. No, but there's a joy in even hard things that
Mm-hmm.
you can find, that inner joy, and it can help you get through those hard things. And I think that's what I wasn't Department Q a Danish one that we did?
Yes, the
Yes.
book.
So
Yes.
you can see, like, it didn't tie it up in a
No
bow.
bows, no
No
pretty bows.
bows. It had like a lot of loose ends. It had it was pretty dark. It was probably the darkest book that
The
we did.
book for sure.
The
The
book for sure.
Outsiders was a little dark, but it had
Yeah.
but it was
And
a
it had
little
a
bit,
happy ending.
yeah, and certainly a satisfying ending. I mean, 3 people
Yeah.
died, but
Yeah.
it certainly had, but yeah, I do agree with you. I agree that, we are finding our way, we're
Yeah.
finding our lane. We don't want all of our books to be, oh, well, we're going to just do romances or happy endings. I think we want to steer away from that. Even in the books that I've been writing in the most recent era, my last 4 books, those aren't all tied up. I don't tie all those up with a pretty red
Nope.
bow. There are characters that don't survive because it's war.
Yeah.
And so and POV characters, that's in romance, that is a no-no. You give a character a point of view, you don't kill them off. But in Danish fiction, you certainly can and do.
Yeah.
And so I do think that that's kind of where we want to be. We do not want to be Pollyannas, like you said earlier.
No.
At the same time, I don't know if we'll ever do a romance again unless we decide to do like a Hallmark weekend special or something.
like the holiday, like a holiday special or something, if we can find the book.
I have so many friends that had their like romances turned into Hallmark books.
Yeah,
Hallmark
so that would
movies.
be, I think it would be kind of fun and holiday-ish. We can have
But that would probably be it because, the whole lather, rinse, repeat. Not that I don't mean to diminish, but, and let me tell you, when season 4 of Bridgerton comes out, I will be the first one. I'll stay up all night watching it. So
yeah, of course, yes, I'm excited.
But then I was thinking about, Wicked's about to come out,
and
yes. Boy,
have you read that book?
Yeah, I think I gave it to you, or you gave it to me way back when.
And it was
it one of us gave it to each other? It is.
I gave it to you. I think I gave it to you because I got it because we had gone to see it. We took the girls to St. Louis, one day and went to see it.
And it is. The book is woo. It is by no means, and they're trying. Yes, it is dark, and the thing is that people, because the play and even the movie is even more so. It's just so fantastical and beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, well, let's buy the book. Talk about being shocked when people, if they do finally get through the book. I don't know if they would get through it.
So that might be an interesting one to try.
Yeah, put that on the list. And for our viewers and listeners, this is how Staci and I come to our list.
Yes,
things like that. Yeah, and then we talk, and then it segues into something else. And yeah, Wicked would be a good one and a shocker. And I would love for our listeners and viewers to come with us on that journey because we've both been there, but it's been 15 years that you and I.
At least 20 years. Or like
certainly mid 2000s.
Yes. And that's a good one. I was kind of thinking about what our parameters are, to be able to talk about that. And, one of them is because people have suggested some books and I'm, I definitely don't want to do anything that's going to cause a political anything, right? Like, I mean, you can have political, but like you can have books about topics like we're going to have about political things, but I am not I don't want to just do it to do that. Like I want to see go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think you told me we were talking about The Chosen and somebody asked you what book The Chosen. Yeah. What book? Yes. And I was like, what book The Chosen was taken from? And I was like, that would be the Holy Bible.
Yeah. I was just like,
and not just New Testament. There's a lot of Old Testament in it too.
Oh, there's definitely, because they go back
because it really digs into the Judaism. The the time. And
that would be
so anyway
to tackle for maybe a fun like Easter time.
Well, because I know we both have read through the whole Bible, each of us, front to back, which not many people have.
Yeah.
And so we would be able to honestly say we had read the book
Yeah,
and
really,
seen,
really. Yeah.
yeah, we could actually honestly
I'm
say that.
reading it a lot differently now. I've
Oh,
taken on
same.
a lot of different. How I read a book called, let's see, How Not to Read the Bible by Kimball.
Hmm.
I have it up here, How Not to Read the Bible. So it's really interesting. But yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother thing.
Well, and
Um,
that could be a fun podcast because we wouldn't have to get into the political, socioeconomic part of it, but just the part of trying to, as a modern day person living in the United States, understanding the Bible versus Christian nationalism. Because you and I, we didn't want to go into that because,
right, right.
you and I have such, even our faith and our lives they
Morphed.
don't look the same
No,
now that they do in 2000.
yeah,
And it's because of that open-mindedness and meeting other people from other cultures, other religions, other countries, other colors. And that has changed even how I read the Bible, but even how I look at just the faith and
yes,
what
yes,
is it really? What is it
yes,
really based on? And I
yes,
have a master's degree in religious studies, so it's not
yeah,
like
yeah.
I
Yeah, so my
um
faith hasn't diminished at all.
no.
But I think that's where I'm open to listening, and Jesus was basically open to listening to people, like that. So
Yeah.
it's been really fun for me to. I mean, the big buzzword is deconstruction, and I'm
Yes, deconstruct.
deconstruction and reconstruction, and I guess I could say that I was there, but it's definitely opened me up to loving people differently, loving people more openly, being able to have that love. And the same when you look at books, I don't look at a book and go, well, they didn't mention Jesus in it, so I'm not doing it. Like it just opens me up to see everything is spiritual. Like you talked about creator, the creation, everything is created.
Mhm.
Everything is spiritual. No matter what it is.
And we as
Spiritual.
humans are built with a need, with a hole for spirituality to fill
Yeah,
it. We have that need. Even if it's an agnostic that fills it with science,
right.
even if it's an atheist that fills it with, understanding the world in a different, more
Global,
systematic,
like a
yeah,
global
global,
understanding or
thinking this is it. This is, you have one chance around the planet,
yeah.
however many years the planet circles the sun. But that is still a spiritual way of looking at who we are as humans and
Didn't
looking at humanness.
C.S. Lewis say, we are souls. I
Yeah.
think your daughter has like a tattoo, right? Like I am a soul.
Yes. Yeah. I am soul. Yeah.
I am a soul, and it's like
I am a soul.
we're not bodies.
Mhm.
We're not, but we're soul. We're souls with bodies.
Right. And even
Accompaniment.
understanding like the genderlessness of spirit.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
and so I feel like that doesn't make us new agey. It makes us understanding the world in a whole new way.
Yeah.
And maybe even because one of the books I'm working on now, researching all the way back to the Mesopotamian era, which is pre-Babylonian era,
Okay.
and understanding their spirituality and where it comes from. Anyway, kind of got a little off.
Yeah, but
So let's go back.
This is let's bring it back in. So this is kind of how we brainstorm, though.
Yes.
That was one of the things. Like, I mean, we just brainstorm, we just talk, we just talk, and then all of a sudden we'll grab one piece and we'll be like, hey, let's do that,
Mhm.
or hey, that sounds good. So ouch. The point
That did look like it. That sounded like it hurt. Ow.
Again, we are real. Real things are happening.
We are not AI.
And that's why we made it live. Like we talked about whether we should do scripted, should we do live, and we wanted it to be live because
And editing.
We wanted mistakes.
Mhm.
We wanted to see how we how we come up with things, and there's a lot of times where you have no idea what I'm going to say. I have no idea what you're going to say. I mean, and we just kind of go with it, and that's how real life is. Like you don't script your conversations, you don't script your relationships. I mean, sometimes I pre-script a little bit. I can fight with somebody who's not here, but but you don't.
When you have something to say, an important conversation, because not all conversations are right. So, well, and also one thing I think we haven't touched on, we meet weekly. We only go live every other week.
Yeah.
And on that off week is more like what we're doing here.
Yes.
We talk about the recap. So let's do a super quick recap, because one thing we said we wanted to keep within 30 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, we're almost done.
So back into the recap era stage, what do you think was your least favorite book, not screen, and then your favorite book of the 5? So recapping, we did Bridgerton, which was The Duke and I. We did All the Light We Cannot See. We did Keeper of Lost Souls, Princess Bride, and then The Outsiders.
Probably the hardest book I would say the hardest book for me to read was probably Department Q.
The Keeper of Lost Souls.
And it was probably just
Lost Causes. Keeper of Lost Causes.
It was written, in a fashion that I'm not used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a little bit hard for me to read. I mean, I didn't hate it by any means, but it was a little bit different.
A little sloggy.
I think my favorite was Princess Bride.
Oh, you did love that.
I loved how my brain the whole time was like, is this real? Is this the book?
But you always loved all those play within plays.
Oh, I love all of those.
You love that
so
structure.
This was perfect. Like I loved that book. Mm-hmm. So what about you? What were your favorites? I
would agree with you on it was a little bit of a slog fest with the Keeper of Lost Causes.
Yeah.
And yet it's a 10-book series. I would read more of them.
Yeah.
But it would be right. It would be for sure. My favorite, wow, that's a hard one, because I would say it would be I really loved The Outsiders.
Yeah.
I was surprised because I hadn't read it, and it's not because it was short, but I just really felt like, I can't believe a woman wrote that book. And a 16-year-old.
Yes.
And I feel like I guess it's almost like a Taylor Swift song when she was in her teens. She spoke to the generation and then all generations, just like Taylor Swift does. Yes. And so I feel as though that is why that was my favorite. Now, Screen, what would you say? Does it differ for Screen?
Yes, because I really love All the Light We Cannot See.
Oh,
I loved the casting. There was a lot of feeling, and I'd been there. I'd been to some.
And Mark Ruffalo was amazing.
And
the little girl,
the little
one and the older one.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see that. What's your least?
The Outsiders. The Outsiders was just so bad.
So bad. All right. So I'm going to agree with you on the bad one was The Outsiders. Isn't that funny? My favorite book, my least favorite movie.
Yeah, it's so funny.
It's so funny. I would say Department Q was my favorite Screen.
Good.
Yeah. I bounced back and forth between that one and The Keeper and All the Light We Cannot See. So I do bounce between the two. So that's kind of where we are. Yes. Surprising. I thought we would both say Bridgerton or,
Yeah. I mean, I like them, but it's just like, if you're going with a favorite, I have to go there.
Of those 5. So we're going to continue. I can't wait. And we're going to continue. The last word, just where that cut came from, was kind of, we talked about everybody wants the last word, and we were going to take turns with that. And it could be anything related to the podcast or what happened to us during the week.
Yeah.
And I really don't feel like that. We don't brainstorm that. We try and keep that secret so that it's as much a surprise to the other person as it is to the listeners and viewers.
Yes.
So I think that's probably all we need to say.
Good. And it's a good way to kind of wrap it up and,
without it being a hard ending. So
right. And so we're able to just kind of take the book and go, okay, well, now it's time for our last word. So we are really trying to keep it at 30 to 40 minutes. I want to keep them short. So we're going to try to tweak that just a little bit and have a little more focus on the book part, asking the 3 questions, kind of researching the facts before we talk about them, which is something that there were many times I've heard myself say, oh, I should have researched that, or, so I'm going to try. I want to really keep that in mind as I'm going to this our next one. Should we talk about what we're doing?
I say if we're going to keep to our wrapping up in 40 minutes, we've got 5 minutes. Okay. Let's talk about what's coming up and where we are. And if anybody wants to throw out ideas, we would love that.
Yes.
But maybe we know what we're doing, but what else is on the list? So first of all, tell us what we're doing.
Okay. So we're going to do Hidden Figures, which was a movie back in 2016 with Octavia Davis, Kevin Costner, some big hitters, and it had a lot of nominations for Oscars. So it was a really good movie. I didn't know it was from a book, and it's a nonfiction. So this is going to be we're going to tackle a nonfiction book, which is really exciting. And so yeah. So
I can't wait. I can't.
Yeah, if you're interested in
so much to say about a fictionalized version of a nonfiction story.
Yes.
So, but
based on a true story book, which will be really, really fun.
It's gonna be exciting.
To do. So I'm excited for that. And then I think we had some other ones. We have a whole list. And I'm sure that there's more that come up. And there's some that we just are not going to do. Like people have suggested, Game of Thrones. I'm like, well, that's just too big. Like I don't want to do Lord of Rings. I don't want to do ones that cannot be done in 20 minutes.
The Joy. I think we talked about the Joy Luck Club because we wanted to do
the Joy Luck Club.
That one's on our list, and we talked about how Forrest Gump was a book. I didn't know that. That may be an option.
Yes.
There's been a lot that started as books, and there's so many, and it's just we will never run out of material.
No. I want to try to tackle a memoir. There's a couple of them that are memoirs that are pretty intense.
Okay.
And so I'm going to kind of bring some of those to you next time we do our brainstorming and just see what you think about that. I'm in the midst of writing a memoir. So I kind of want to I like to read memoirs just to see where they go with it and how they frame it.
I love that. Yeah.
So, anyway.
And then maybe like a Leanne Moriarty book, like Big Little Lies or Sirens, which is a Erin Hildebrandt.
9 Perfect Strangers. Is that her?
Yes.
Is that her?
I think so. I think so. There was also a Nicole Kidman, Hugh Jackman, whatever his name is. No, not Hugh Jackman. Hugh Grant. There was a really good one, and Hugh Grant plays a pretty nasty guy.
Oh, okay.
I'll look and see what that one is, but maybe one of those books would be fun to do too. A little bit more of those domestic thrillers.
Yes, yes. I don't know if I'll ever go to the gore horror.
That's not our lane.
Although I have a couple of Stephen King's. Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption. Those are
I thought about Shawshank. Yeah, Shawshank Redemption, because that's such a beautiful, almost a perfect movie. I think it's an amazing movie.
It is.
I would love to read the book.
And The Green Mile is too. So
same.
So we'll see. So we'll,
The Stand. He did The Stand.
Yeah, that was kind of scary.
A little scary.
What's
the one with the kids?
It.
Oh, no.
That's what I'm saying. Like I'll
nothing with clowns. I'm sorry, no clowns.
No. This brain is like I would be up all night thinking about those things. So
and again, this goes back to what we were talking about with our recap. We do have a lane. It's a big lane. It's a highway.
It is.
But there are things that we are tossing out in the pasture, and we're speeding right by them.
Yeah. And I want to do maybe some classics. We've talked about To Kill a Mockingbird. We've talked about Pride and Prejudice. So there's some classics that I'd
Great
like
Expectations.
Yes, and there's some that have been made into isn't it like 10 Things I Hate About You was actually from Taming of the Shrew?
Clueless was from a Shakespeare play as well.
Right. So I mean, those
Yeah.
would be kind of interesting to try to
Clueless
like.
was, I think, Emma. No, Clueless was Emma. It was
Okay.
based on Jane Austen's Emma.
So that would be kind of fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
take something that, like, I mean, even like, I mean, Bridget Jones' Diary, like some of those things would be really, really fun.
And then also at Christmas time, A Christmas Carol, and we could each choose our version.
That would be fun.
Or
Yes, and see
The
which
Man
ones.
Who Invented Christmas, which is about
That's a
Dickens.
really good movie. That's a really good
Mhm.
movie. I
So
like
we can
that
maybe
movie.
do something like that too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and again, you know, as we're wrapping it up, we have so much ahead of us and we're so excited. And, you know, Staci, I just want to say it has been such a joy, not to
Yes.
overuse that word, to reconnect and to do this with you. I can't think of anyone else I'd rather do this with. It has been so fun.
Thank
And
you.
we have, you know, guys, we have years of this ahead of us. That's
Yes.
our plan.
Yes. So roll your sleeves up with us, put your readers on and find your corner and join us. I mean,
Yes.
if you just want pure joy and you just want to just enjoy the act of reading and just have it be, fun and then be able to do a Netflix binge one weekend and do it. It's just fun. And we are loving being part of your lives and doing
Join
this.
us. Exactly. So we're going to say goodbye now, and then we will see you next week, and we will be diving into, Staci, what's
Hidden
the book?
Figures.
Hidden
Hidden Figures.
Figures.
2 weeks from
All
now.
right.
2 weeks from now.
2
Yeah.
weeks.
2
That's
weeks from
right.
now.
2 weeks from now, because
Yeah.
next week we've got yes.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, we will
Yeah.
see you.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.